Good morning, everyone, especially to our professor, Sir Fisher. Good morning. By the way, I'm Kimberly J. Lawat, the first reporter of this group. And now, our topic for today is all about the 1987 Constitution of the Philippines, Article 14. The 1987 Constitution, Article 14, highlights are the following: education, science and technology, arts and culture, and sports. So let's start with education. Section 1. The state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. So, in Section 1, aims to provide the right quality education to all, meaning not only those learners in urban areas or higher level of society can acquire or access quality education, but also to those students in rural areas. It also states here that the quality education can also be acquired at all levels, which means that not only for elementary or high school, but also in universities in all possible ways. The state shall um, take appropriate actions to make sure that the quality education can be acquired for everyone. Section 2 contains all the obligation of our states or government, and it says here that first, the state shall establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the needs of the people and society. So, when we say integrated, means that in areas or communities, there must be a good educational system such as elementary, high school. And the learning was being taught in school is practically connected to the society. And the learners need to know that they could apply in their daily lives. Second, the state shall establish and maintain a system of free public education in the elementary and high school level, without delimiting the natural right of parents to rear their children. Elementary education is compulsory for all children of school age. So this means that everyone can easily access a good quality education because it's free, which is the state has provided. All public schools are open to all, to those who are willing to learn. And also, when we say compulsory, everyone must be educated at least on elementary. Third, the state shall establish and maintain a system of scholarship grants, student loan programs, subsidies, and other incentives which shall be available to deserving students in both public and private schools, especially to the underprivileged. So, we all know that not everyone is fortunate enough to afford education, right? Many people or parents, students were having a hard time paying for education. That is why the state established student loan programs, subsidies, and the different type of scholarships available in public and private schools to let this deserving student obtain higher education. And because of these grants, everyone, especially in the underprivileged people, can now access a good quality education. Fourth, the state shall encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning system as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school study programs, particularly to those that responds to compulsory needs. I think this is like a collaboration between the Department of Education and Social Welfare. I am a bit aware that the Department of Social Welfare, they offer learnings to the community like um, out of school youth together with the people in the Department of Education. And of course, the non-formal and informal learning is available for all. Fifth, the state shall provide adult citizens, the disabled, and out-of-school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. So, this is what I was saying earlier, that we have TESDA. A TESDA offers classes and trainings focusing on skills. So actually, it's not limited right now in reality. It's not just limited to the senior citizen and disabled, as well as if you are physically and mentally able person and you choose to learn other skills, then you're welcome in TESDA. Section 3. All educational institutions shall include the study of the Constitution as part of the curricula. So, in Section 3, Article 1, it is all about the educational institution should offer courses related to study of Constitution as part of curricula. Second, they shall inculcate patriotism and nationalism, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation of the role of national heroes in the historical development of the country, teach the rights and duties of citizenship, strengthen ethical and spiritual value, develop moral character and personal discipline. So, in Section 3, Article 2, explain that all educational institutions must inculcate or develop patriotism and nationalism of the individuals for the love of humanity. So, in school, we all know that they teach us to respect for human rights and appreciate of the role of national heroes, right? Like heroes to fight for our freedom among historical event happen in our country, and also not only in those social aspect, also in our spiritual, moral, and ethical behavior. Educational institutions should provide program to promote a scientific knowledge as well as our technological knowledge. Third, at the option expressed in writing by parents or guardians, religion shall be allowed to be taught by their children onwards in public and high school within the regular class hours by instructors designed or approved by the religious authorities of the religion to which the children onwards belong, without additional cost to the government. So, if you're going to teach religion, it must have the permission of the parents and guardian, right? And hindi ka basta-basta magtuturo lang, and preferably it must be with express through writing, and also it must be within a regular class hour. The teacher design here that um the teacher of this religion subject must be someone who is approved by the religious authorities. Section 4. First, the state shall recognize the complementary rules of public and private institutions in the educational system and shall exercise reasonable supervision and regulation of all educational institutions. So, in Section 4, number 1, it is the right of the public and private institutions to really make sure that they are still giving equality service and quality education. Second, educational institutions other than those established by religious group and mission boards shall be owned solely by the citizens of the Philippines or corporation or association, at least 60% of the capital of which is owned by such citizen. The Congress may, however, require increased Filipino equity participation in all educational institutions. Further explanation. Number 4 is about how the those privately owned educational institution must be owned solely by Filipino citizen. The control and administration of educational institutions shall be vested in citizens of the Philippines. No educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens, and no group of aliens shall comprise more than one-third of the enrollment in any school. The provision of this subsection shall not apply to school established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents, and unless otherwise provided by law, for other temporary residents. So, there must be no school that stands exclusively for aliens. So when we say aliens, aliens here are they considered to be foreigners. There must be no school in the Philippines built for them. Here in the Philippines, we all know that we accept international student right, but the population of this student must not more than one-third of the population. So we have, unless there are school for diplomats for the temporary residents of the Philippines and other provided by the law. Third, all revenue and assets of non-stock, non-profit educational institution used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt for taxes and duties. Upon dissolution or cessation of the corporate existence of such institution, their assets should be disposed of in the manner provided by law. So in number 3, it is clear that there is no tax to pay the budget for the school, and it should be monitored by the school where the money is spent. Proprietary educational institutions, including those cooperatively owned, may likewise be entitled to such exemption subject to the limitation provided by law, including restriction on the dividends and provision for investment. So this exemption, there are limitation provided by law. That is why they are giving private institution. They are giving scholarship. It's a way also for following the law. Fourth, subject to the condition provided by law, all grants, endowments, donation, or contribution used actually, directly, and exclusively for educational purposes shall be exempt from tax. So again, as long as the budget is for education, no tax will be paid. Section 5. First, the state shall take into account regional and sectoral needs and conditions, and shall encourage local planning in the development of educational policies and programs. So it's because whatever is given by the education must be something that respond to the need of the society. Number 2, academic freedom shall be enjoyed in all institutions of higher learning. So they have the right to set policies like as to the enrollment, as to who should be enrolled, as to what should be the requirements of the enrollment, or what should be the role of the teacher, and so forth. Third, every citizen has a right to select a profession or course of study subject to fair, reasonable, and equitable admission and academic requirements. So it is clear here that nobody can dictate you what course you will take. It's your choice to choose. Fourth, the state shall enhance the right of teachers to professional advancement. Non-teaching, academic, and non-academic personnel shall enjoy the protection of the state. That is why they are offering free training for the teachers. Fifth, the state shall assign the highest budgetary priority to education and ensure that teaching will attract and retains its rightful share for the best available talents through adequate remuneration and other means of job satisfaction and fulfillment. So the highest budgetary priority shall be given to teaching or to education. And it's so nice that they have to make sure adequate remuneration for the teachers. Next, we have language. Section 6. Number one, the language of the Philippines is Filipino as it involves. It should be further developed and enriched at the basis of existing Philippines and other languages. Subject to provision of law and as Congress may deem appropriate, the government shall take steps to initiate and sustain to use of Filipino as a medium of official communication and as a language of instruction in the educational system. So, as you know, the national language of the Philippines is Filipino, right? So, that is the basis of the existing languages of the Philippines. And the state has the right to sustain and develop Filipino as a medium of communication and it is a language of instruction in the education system. Kaya nga gumagamit tayo ng wikang Filipino in our education system because it's one way also of preserving that. Section 7, first, for purpose of communication and instruction, the official language of the Philippines are Filipino and, until otherwise provided by law, English. The regional language are auxiliary official languages in the region and shall serve as auxiliary media of instruction therein. So, the official language of the Philippines are Filipino and English. So, that is why in the 1987 Constitution, there is an English version and Filipino version. And any languages or your mother tongue or the MTBMLE or your native languages are considered auxiliary languages. So when we say auxiliary, it is helping language. They help us to elaborate the idea because many of us are more comfortable in using the regional languages, right? Okay. Spanish and Arabic shall be promoted on a voluntary and optional basis. So, some schools are teaching Spanish, right? And it is voluntary and optional basis. Section 8. This constitution shall be promulgated in Filipino and English and shall be translated into major regional languages, Arabic and Spanish. Section 9. First, the Congress shall establish a National Language Commission composed of representatives of various regions and disciplines which shall undertake, coordinate, and promote researchers for the development, propagation, and preservation of Filipino and languages. So, the National Language Commission will do some research to preserve the language of the Philippines. So now, let's proceed to Science and Technology. Section 10. Science and technology are essential for national development and progress. The state shall give priority to research and development, invention, innovation, and their utilization, and to science and technology education and training and services. It shall support indigenous, appropriate, and self-reliant scientific and technological capabilities and their applications to the country's productive system and national life. So this section is mainly all about the development of technology for our country. It's all about the innovation and invention, and it focuses on the researchers, of course, in science, because we all know the importance of technology in our human life, especially during this pandemic. Like every one of us really do appreciate technology, so that is why the Philippine government really include this in the Philippine Constitution so that every Filipino citizens will be educated about technology. Section 11, the Congress may provide for incentives, including tax deduction, to encourage private participation in program of basis and apply scientific research, scholarship, grants and aids, or other forms of incentive shall be provided to deserving science students, researchers, scientists, inventors, technologists, and special gifted citizens. So, in section 11 is all about the scholarship. Okay, that is why we have let's say the scholarships here in the Philippines because it's for the development of the country, and of course to support about science technology It is for every one of us. Section 12. The state shall regulate the transfer and promote the adaptation of technology from all sources of national benefit. It shall encourage the widest participation of private groups, local governments, and community-based organization and utilization of science and technology. So, in section 12 is all about the innovation and invention. So, if ever there will be something to be discovered by a private individual, so the Philippine government has the right to use or adopt that particular discovery. Section 13, the state shall protect and exclusive right of the scientists, inventors, artists, and other gifted citizens to their intellectual property and creation, particularly when beneficial to the people for such period as may provided by law. So, in section 13 is basically all about the right of all the scientists and inventors. So the government must protect or secure their works and invention. And it was stated from the Philippine Constitution. So now we have here the arts and culture. Section 14. The state shall foster the preservation, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of the Filipino national culture based in the principle of unity and diversity in a climate of free artistic and intellectual expression. So in section 14, it is all about the preservation of the Philippine culture. Section 15, arts and letters shall enjoy the patronage of the state. The state shall conserve, promote, and popularize the nation's historical and cultural heritage and resources, as well as artistic creation. So, in section 15, it is all about to promote and popularize our own historical culture. Ika nga nila na tangkilikin ang sariling atin. Section 16. All the country's artistic and historic wealth constitute the cultural treasure of the nation and shall be under the protection of the state which may regulate its disposition. So in section 16, it is all about the cultural treasure. So like for example, if somebody will discover a treasure, the Philippine government has the right to preserve that. So that is why we have museum. Section 17. The state shall recognize, respect, and protect the right of indigenous cultural communities to preserve and develop their culture, tradition, and institution. It shall consider their rights in the formulation of national plans and policies. So, in Section 17, it is all about to protect the right of our cultural communities. Like, for example, our Aitas, Ilocanos, Manubo, and even our brother and sisters, Muslim. The state or the Philippine government must protect their culture, their tradition, and that is written in the Philippine Constitution. That is why in education, no one is allowed to force them to change, like to change their culture, to change their beliefs, and to change their tradition. Section 18. First, the state shall ensure equal access of cultural opportunities through the education system, public or private cultural for entities, scholarship, grants, and the other incentives, and the community cultural centers and other public venues. Second, the state shall encourage and support researches and studies on the arts and culture. So in section 18, it is all about preservation of our culture and tradition. So that is why we encourage to study our culture. So now let's proceed to sports. Section 19. First, the state shall promote physical education and encourage sport programs, league competition, and amateur sports, including training for international competition to foster self-discipline, teamwork, and excellence for the development of a healthy and alert citizenry. Second, All educational institutions shall undertake regular sports activities throughout the country in cooperation with athletic clubs and other sectors. So basically, in section 19, it is all about physical education, sports, and it's all about self-development in a person. It is included in the Philippine Constitution so that every Filipino citizens will develop self-discipline, teamwork, and of course, a healthy lifestyle. That is why we all have this palakasan, division meet. They all have this intramurals, right, in the school for them to develop their talents and their sports. To sum it up, it is important to learn this Article 14 of the Philippine Constitution, especially for the children. They must know the right of quality education. So that would be all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you and God bless.